Welcome back to Cooper's Automotive Channel. Tim Cooper and Cooper's Automotive Repair. We got a 2004 E150 van in here today. And just for fun, I'm going to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit crazy. The benefits of working on this is it comes with free ice cream. So I might gain some weight and I need it. But we got an axle seal leaking on it. I've kind of started looking at it here. And you can see right here, this is wet. I've taken the rotor and the caliper and everything off. Looks like we got a lot of play here. So we're probably going to wind up needing an axle and a bearing, but I got to get it apart the rest of the way. I'm going to show you how I do that. First thing we got to do is we got to take this diff cover off. So Dave, you're going to have to bend down your knees because I can't lift it high enough because it's got a big old topper on the top of the van. All right, and let's see here. Got this. Let's get this cover off of this thing. These ice cream vans are on the road all the time. And the guy does really well. Kind of a neat business. This little impact 3/8 little air ratchet, it's got some power behind it. I really like it for stuff like that. So once we get all the bolts out of the cover right there, I gotta get a screwdriver behind it, pry that cover off. We're gonna let this gear lube run down inside that. Place the gasket on this. There's probably some other stuff I'm going to have to do to this truck, but this was its main complaint. So here comes that stinking, smelling. That didn't get it on me. Awesome. Cooper's bloopers, but we'll keep it in. Cover off of it. Let's set in there. So then you got the typical. I think that's an 8mm pin right there. Has to slide out, slide the spider gear lock pin out, knock the C-clips out inside here, and get that thing out of there. So yeah, this is an 8mm pin that goes through the carrier of the housing, and you've got to take that out of there. Sometimes I've seen these things break off and leave a piece down in it. It looks like we're going to be okay here. And I'll wind up probably pulling both axles and checking both of the bearings. So there's that lockdown pin and the long piece. Like I said, sometimes that piece will break off down inside of there, and then you got to drive this thing out. Hey, thank the Lord that this didn't happen here. Then you got this pin right here, okay? And what happens is, when you slide that pin out of there, hopefully I got this thing in neutral. I want you to be able to see these clips. Let's get that pin out of there. Here's that, slide them out the bottom, but there's that pin that holds the spider gears in right there. Okay, there's the hole that that pin goes through that holds that diff in there. Now the C-clips are down inside of that. We might need the spider gears. I don't. So we're going to knock this axle out. Okay. And there's a C-clip right there. Dave, can you get a close-up of that? That's the end of the axle right there. Now, when I push that axle in, you're going to see that clip right there. And it's going to fall out of there in most cases and get out of our way. Like I said, I don't care about these spider gears coming down. But there's that C-clip you got to get out of there. So you can slide the axle out. We're going to put it down here. And we'll push this axle out at the end of the shaft there. And let's see what's all going on with this bearing right here. There we go. Alright, we got it out. If you look right here, you can see that this axle is worn out. Let me get a rag. I'm going to wipe that off so you can actually see what I'm talking about and get a light on it. That is not supposed to be there. That is supposed to look like this, nice and polished. That's how much that bearing has worn this axle shaft out. So guys, he's going to need an axle. He's going to need a seal, obviously here. The seal's deteriorated because this whole axle, when it was in there with all that play, was rocking up and down, and you had all that play in it. So you go ahead and you slide your axle out of there, okay? You get that out. Now what I do, they make seal pullers for these. My boss was old school when I was growing up in this stuff, and he would hook that seal like this a lot of times on the axle and pull that seal right out of there. So the seal's out. There's your bearing, okay? There's your bearing right there. And we're going to get that out of there. There's a tool we use that goes up in with a slide hammer. It'll pull this bearing out of here. So we got to pause for just a little bit because I got to take the other side apart. I'm not going to show you the pictures of the other side unless we have a problem, but I will come back and I'll show you how we get that bearing out of there, press it back into that axle, and when we put it back all together, service the rear differential and clean it with nice new fluid. We got to get those metal flakes out of that thing, so we'll be bottle brushing through this thing so that we clean all that up. A lot of times I just use a diesel fuel brake cleaner and things like that. It's got to be clean. You don't want to leave any metal particles behind. You're just going to run more bearings. And hopefully the carrier bearings inside are good. Most of the cases they're okay. So I'm going to pick up showing you, like I said, putting this bearing in, getting the authorization from the customer to repair it, and continue from there. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Our axle bearing out of this side and our seal, and we've cleaned our tube out. Okay, there you are. You can see that it's nice and clean. Now, once again, we want to install our bearing. Pay attention to the sound. You can hear the difference when it bottoms out. With that, she's seated in. It's bottom out in there. And install our seal same way. Sure you get these things straight or you'll do it again. Okay. We got our seal in. We got our axle bearing in. We need to lube it up. Just pre-lube it some. This is the good side. You can see there's no wear on this axle. Be careful sliding this up in here, not to let it drag too much on the seal so you don't destroy it. It's in just like that. Then you'll come to the back of the diff. And right here, you put that C-clamp right on the end of that axle and push it back. We got to do the other side the same way. Remove our bearing, put that on our seal. Our new axle. Okay. Again, C-clamp. C-clip. Oops. Alright, right there. Slide it in. Push the axle out. From there, I'm going to put this in. So I've got to get this line back up. And I'm working in the blind. Okay, I went ahead and lined those spider gears up so I could get the pin in it. So here's the pin we've got to slide in next. Right there. And the lock pin to hold that in. And our 8mm, which is tight. Alright, so the rear differential is all back together. We got to put the cover on this gasket maker for rear differential oil. Got our cover cleaned up, so we're going to get it beaded out all the way around. We're going to let that tack up. Once it tacks, we're going to bolt the cover on. So we're going to need about 5 minutes, and then we'll pick back up and put the cover on. Finishing this job up. Won't be long now. The cover's skinned up. We're tightening the cover bolts. Okay, so basically that's it. Rear bearing replacement on a 2004 E150 van. Put the tires on it, fill the diff back up with fluid, test drive it. So thanks for watching, subscribe to our channel.